All right, let's do this one last time.
Alright, so I've been seeing a bunch of my favorite YouTubers making these One Marvelous Scene videos, and I think I'm a little late to the party, but I still wanted to have my own crack at it, because I love the MCU movies, and I mean, while I wouldn't really consider Spider-Man Homecoming my favorite, actually, I probably wouldn't even consider it my favorite Spider-Man movie, but I do consider this to be a really great scene still. I mean, first of all, this is following one of the best action scenes in the whole movie, this whole ferry sequence, where it gets cut in half and he's holding it together. Even though that doesn't really make any sense if you think about it. I mean, it's already taking in water, and I'm not really sure how it's still buoyant, but also, I'm from Seattle, and our ferries don't look like we bought them from a Coast Guard sale, but I digress. So this is in the aftermath of one of those big action scenes, and we actually get to see how the characters process how their superheroing affects the other people around them. Oh, and also, I once had a dream that was exactly like this, where I dreamt that I was Spider-Man, but instead of like swinging from building to building and doing cool spider stuff, I just sat there and got scolded by Robert Downey Jr. for the whole dream. So Tony is scolding Peter, and he shifts the attention back onto the people by asking if they're okay. Because honestly, he was just trying to protect people. That's all he was ever really trying to do after he couldn't protect Uncle Ben. And I mean, okay, yeah, maybe I'm reading too much into this, especially because Uncle Ben isn't really explicitly mentioned in the MCU. But I think that the recklessness that we see Peter have towards, bringing these villains to justice at all costs, kind of has to do with Peter's bad things happen, which is basically just saying, with great power, da 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 da.
Look, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you.
So basically, Peter believes that bad things will happen if he does nothing. But Tony is the wiser hero here, and he has to explain to Peter that bad things can happen if he acts too. And I mean, this is a post-Civil War MCU, which I'll touch more on in a second. This is a really great reveal. I mean, Iron Man really knows how to make an entrance. But also, he reveals that he's the one that called the FBI, because we have to remember, we're dealing with a post-Civil War Iron Man. So this means that Tony's character right now believes that he shouldn't get involved unless he has to. This is an Iron Man that really doesn't want to step on the toes of the government right now. Tony also brings up responsibility and admits that he feels responsible for Peter.
And if you died, I feel like that's on me.
And okay, guys, I know the Tony is a father figure thing isn't really subtle, but stick with me.
And I just wanted to be like you.
And I wanted you to be better.
And I believe this is one of the most honest exchanges between characters in the whole movie. We have to remember, Spider-Man grew up in this superhero world. Especially if we're going to believe that this was actually him. He spent his entire life idolizing Iron Man. And there's this great quote from one of my favorite video essays linked below that says, "No one should aspire to be Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is aspiring to be like greater heroes." And Tony, again, responds very honestly. He just says, "I wanted you to be better." So Tony asks for the suit back and tells him that if he's nothing without the suit, then he shouldn't have it. And I think Tony's actually trying to teach him a lesson here. See, Tony already learned that it's not the suit that makes the hero. I mean, that's like the entire lesson of Iron Man 3. Just like how Thor 3 was all about how Thor's power doesn't come from the hammer, it comes from him. And I think Tony wants Peter to learn this too, but you can lead a horse to water and you can't pick your horse's nose, or however the saying goes. Then at the end of the scene, Tony kills the horse and continues to beat it with the Tony as a father figure metaphor.
Gotta sound like my dad.
Also, are we really supposed to believe that Tony couldn't find any shirts that fit him? Anyways, I love this scene. This is my one marvelous scene of Tony scolding Peter, scene from Spider-Man Homecoming. This is TKreyFilms, and please leave your opinions or suggestions down in the comments below.